In 1861, at a white-column plantation in the southern state of Georgia, USA, 16-year-old Scarlett O'Hara was dressed in a green floral dress, surrounded by the most handsome boys from 12 counties, laughing as brightly as spring camellias. No one could have imagined that 4 years later, she would be starving, kneeling on scorched earth, digging through the soil with her bare hands to find a turnip to eat, swearing as she did so, "I will never go hungry again." This is Gone with the Wind, a novel that has broken hearts and stirred passions in readers around the world. It's not just a story about war and love, it's the tale of a woman who rebuilds her life with her bare hands after her whole world has collapsed. Scarlett O'Hara, one of the most beloved and controversial heroines in literary history, selfish, vain, ruthless, yet fearless, resilient, and utterly unwilling to accept defeat. Today we're going to dive into this woman's life. We'll talk about the misguided love she chased her whole life, the wildflower-like vitality she displayed amidst ruins, and the man who saw through her completely, loved her deeply for his entire life, but ultimately walked away, Rhett Butler. I'm Sunshine, and welcome to today's episode of Delusion. The story begins on the eve of the American Civil War. Scarlett O'Hara is the young mistress of Tara, a plantation in Georgia. Her father, Gerald, is a hot-tempered but kind Irish plantation owner, while her mother, Ellen, is a graceful and dignified Southern lady. Scarlett inherits her father's stubbornness and wild nature but lacks her mother's gentle and virtuous qualities. She is beautiful, knows she is beautiful, and is accustomed to having men fall at her feet. Yet one man occupies her heart and mind, Ashley Wilkes, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Southern gentleman who loves literature and poetry. Scarlett believes she loves Ashley deeply. At a grand barbecue, she gathers the courage to confess her feelings to Ashley, only to be gently rejected. Ashley tells her he is engaged to his cousin Melanie Hamilton. Furious, Scarlett marries Melanie's brother Charles, not out of love but sheer spite. And in the midst of this drama, one man witnesses everything from the shadows. His name is Rhett Butler. At the time, he merely smiles, but this smile entwines itself with the fate of the entire story. War breaks out. Charles soon dies of illness at the army camp, leaving Scarlett a young widow. She is sent to her aunt's home in Atlanta to live with Melanie. The entire city burns under cannon fire, and Scarlett delivers Melanie's baby herself. With the newborn, the exhausted mother, and her own young son in tow, she escapes the fiery ruins of Atlanta. That night, the flames illuminate the sky, but beside her, there are no men, no soldiers, only a dying mule and Scarlett herself. When she returns to Tara, she finds everything destroyed. Her mother has died of illness, her father has lost his sanity, the plantation has been looted, and the cotton fields burned. Most of the household slaves have fled, leaving only a few to starve alongside her. At that moment, Scarlett kneels on Tara's rid soil, digs up a turnip from the ground, bites into it, and promptly vomits. Clenching her fists, she screams a vow to the heavens, words quoted countless times by generations. "As God is my witness, I'll never go hungry again. Even if I have to lie, steal, cheat, or kill. As God is my witness, I'll never be hungry again." In that moment, the pampered plantation girl dies, and a steel-hearted woman rises. To save Tara, Scarlett snatches her sister's fiancé, Frank Kennedy, because Frank has money and can help pay the taxes to keep the plantation. She uses Frank's money to open a lumber mill, braving ridicule and gossip as she navigates the male-dominated business world with ruthless determination. After Frank's death, Rhett finally proposes. Scarlett marries him, yet again, not entirely out of love. Her heart still longs for Ashley. Rhett loves Scarlett deeply and pours all his affection into her and their daughter Bonnie. Yet Scarlett's heart remains fixated on Ashley. Rhett becomes increasingly disillusioned, and Bonnie tragically dies in a horseback riding accident. Rhett is utterly shattered. It is not until Melanie's deathbed moment, when she clasps Scarlett's hand and asks her to take care of Ashley, that Scarlett finally sees the truth. The man she thought she loved all her life, Ashley, was merely a youthful obsession with an unattainable illusion. The person who truly understood her, supported her, and matched her spirit had always been Rhett. She races home, only to hear Red utter his cold, final words, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn." Red leaves. Scarlett stands alone in an empty house, tears streaming down her face. But she does not collapse. She remembers Tara, the red soil, and the words of her father, "In this world, only the land will never abandon you." She wipes away her tears and declares the book's final line, "After all, tomorrow is another day." I want to share with you 3 profound themes I found in Gone with the Wind. The first is about obsession. Scarlett spends half her life chasing a man who was never truly hers. Think about it, what is so special about Ashley? Certainly, he is refined, intelligent, and artistic like a beautiful painting. But he and Scarlett are worlds apart. Ashley lives in the dream of the Old South, longing for pre-war afternoon teas, Shakespeare, and golden fields. He is one of those people who cannot adapt to a new era once the old one ends. Scarlett, meanwhile, is fire, a storm, the one who builds with bare hands amidst ruins. She needs someone who can handle her blazing spirit. Rhett is that person. He is just as rebellious, just as shrewd in seeing through the hypocrisy of Southern aristocracy, and just as fiercely alive. But Scarlett fails to see this. Why? Because people often mistake what they cannot have for true love. The more distant and polite Ashley is, the more Scarlett idealizes him as noble, pure, and extraordinary. Rhett, being right there and easily attainable, is ironically undervalued. This is the irony of human nature. We often cling desperately to the unattainable while ignoring the warmth within reach. In writing Scarlett's story, Margaret Mitchell was also exploring her own life struggles. Her first marriage, full of passion, ended in failure, and her first husband's dangerous charm mirrored Rhett Butler. She later married the steady and mild-mannered John Marsh, and within their quiet marriage, she spent 10 years writing Gone with the Wind. Life's regrets became literature's deepest insights. Have you ever experienced something similar? Looking back, was the person or the goal you were most obsessed with truly what you needed? Or were you simply addicted to the act of pursuing itself? The second theme is the conflict between survival and dignity. Gone with the Wind poses a brutal question: when survival and morality clash, which do you choose? Scarlett's answer is clear: she chooses survival. To save Tara, she takes her sister's fiancé, fully aware of how despicable it is, but she understands that without this action, her entire family would end up on the streets. She hires convicts for cheap labor in her lumber mill, lies, schemes, and stops at nothing in the marketplace. All of Atlanta's upper class mocks her behind her back, but she doesn't care. She has one priority: Tara must not be lost. Mitchell wrote this book during the Great Depression. She began in 1926, and it was published in 1936. During those 10 years, countless American families lost everything: their savings, homes, jobs, and dignity. Mitchell herself lived through this backdrop, typing out Scarlett's story in her Atlanta apartment one chapter at a time. She later said the book's central theme revolves around one question: what quality allows some people to survive disasters while others, equally brave and strong, fall? This question remains piercing today. Have you ever faced a moment where, in order to survive, you had to do something that made you dislike yourself? Have you swallowed bitterness, endured humiliation, or made painful compromises between principles and reality? Scarlett's story shows us that survival is never a dignified affair. But those who rise from the mud are heroes in their own way. This leads to the third theme: what does true strength look like? Gone with the Wind contrasts two women in an intriguing way: Scarlett and Melanie. On the surface, Scarlett is the strong one, bold, decisive, and swift to act, commanding the attention of all Atlanta with her business empire. Melanie, on the other hand, appears frail and soft-spoken, never arguing with anyone, seemingly fragile enough to be swept away by a gust of wind. But take a closer look, and you'll see Melanie is the true foundation. When all of Atlanta's upper class ostracizes Scarlett, it is Melanie who steps forward, using her reputation and kindness to shield Scarlett from gossip. When thieves break into Tara, it is Melanie, weak from childbirth and barely able to stand, who grips Charles's sword and stands trembling behind the door. Her entire life is a quiet battle, fought not with anger and tactics, but with trust, loyalty, and unconditional love. Scarlett only realizes this at the end. The night Melanie dies, Scarlett feels like the world is collapsing. For the first time, she understands that this weak woman she always despised was actually her strongest supporter. When Melanie is gone, Scarlett loses the only person who never doubted her or abandoned her. This makes me ponder, do we equate hardness with strength? Scarlett's toughness is undeniable, she can defy the entire world. Yet Melanie's gentleness is also a kind of power, a power that offers reassurance to those around her. True strength may not be about overcoming all obstacles but about being a refuge for others amid the storm. This novel has endured nearly 90 years and continues to move readers because Mitchell wrote not just about the fall and reconstruction of the South. She wrote about universal struggles. When everything you have is taken away, what helps you stand again? Is it obsession? Anger? Fear? Or the land, the terror you hold in your heart as your final anchor? Speaking of memorable quotes, Gone with the Wind delivers countless unforgettable lines. Here are a few that resonate deeply with me. The first, from one of the book's most powerful moments, Scarlett kneeling in the ashes of terror, swearing, "As God is my witness, I'll never go hungry again. Even if I have to lie, steal, cheat, or kill. As God is my witness, I'll never go hungry again." This line gains its strength not from being a polished slogan, but from being the raw cry of someone pushed to the brink, with the stench of vomit in the air. It's crude and primal, but its sheer truthfulness makes it impactful. This is not mere literature, it's pure survival instinct. The second comes from Red. In the book's final moments, when Scarlett finally understands and tearfully asks, "If you leave, what will I do?" Red delivers the heartbreaking line, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn." This phrase ranks first among the American Film Institute's list of iconic movie quotes. Its pain lies not in its ruthlessness but because you can feel how much Red once cared. He cared for years, enough to set aside his pride and repeatedly forgive her selfishness and indifference. But a heart consumed for too long inevitably grows cold. This isn't a lack of love, it's love grown weary. The final line, also the last words of the book, "After all, tomorrow is another day." This seemingly simple sentence encapsulates the novel's essence. Scarlett loses her mother, father, two husbands, daughter, Melanie, and finally even Red. Anyone else would likely have been crushed. But she isn't. She says, "Tomorrow is another day." It's not blind optimism, but the resilience of someone shattered by life yet choosing to rise each time. Reflecting on all this, what moves me most about Gone with the Wind isn't Scarlett's courage or her tragic love story with Red. It's Mitchell's honesty about survival. She doesn't make Scarlett a perfect hero. Scarlett is selfish, vain, and ruthless, hurting many innocent people. But Mitchell refrains from judging her. Because in an era where everything crumbles, who has the right to condemn someone desperate to live? We all likely have our terror in our hearts. It might be your hometown, your family, a cherished memory, or simply a belief that you hold on to no matter how the world changes. And at some point, each of us has been Scarlett, knocked to the ground, tasting dirt, but finding some hidden strength to rise, brush off the dirt, and tell ourselves it's okay, tomorrow is another day. Perhaps true strength isn't about never falling but about being willing to stand again every time you do. If this episode resonates with you, feel free to share in the comments, what is your terror in life? What is that thing that keeps you going in the hardest moments? Don't forget to subscribe and join me next time for more great books. Alright, that's all for today's episode. No matter when you're listening, I wish you a good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Delusion. See you next time.